Hey there everybody, this is Die Hard Gamer here, and I just came back from seeing the Power Rangers reboot, directed by Dean Israelite, and to be quite honest, I had my expectations set pretty low for this movie. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, which was why I had my expectations set pretty low. And I decided to stay optimistic about the whole thing throughout this entire saga of when this movie was announced, or from when this movie was announced till up until now. So, all in all, it was a great movie. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the new cast, as well as Bryan Cranston coming back to play Zordon in the movie, I mean. Bill Hader as Alpha 5 was really good. There was only 2 times where he said, "Ay, ay, ay," which is great because you need to have that. Also, there was a couple of references to past Power Rangers seasons, like Lightspeed Rescue and Dino Thunder. There's a part in the movie where Jason's dad says that he's on Reefside and Mariner Bay. For those of you who are Power Rangers fans, Mariner Bay was where Lightspeed Rescue took place, and Reefside was where Dino Thunder took place. And Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank do make a cameo appearance in the movie. I'm not saying where in the movie they exactly appear. You'll just have to find that out for yourself, because I'm not going to spoil it for everybody who hasn't seen the movie yet. So where do we start with this movie? Well, first of all, before I get started, big fuck you to Angry Joe and some of his buddies who reviewed this movie and thought it was not as great as they thought it would be. They thought this and that and whatnot, and it didn't cater to their nostalgia, it didn't give them this, it didn't give them that. They completely missed the point that this is an origin story, for fuck's sake. So, that's one thing. If you're going to see this movie, go into it expecting that you're not going to see a whole lot of action. You're not going to see them in the suits right away like you do in the TV show or anything like that. There's also no Bulk and Skull. I saw somebody on Twitter respond to Angry Joe saying that they're not going to see the movie because there's no Bulk and Skull. Fuck you! And take off your goddamn nostalgia goggles. I swear. But anyway, without mini rant out of the way, I loved the story for the movie. The story did what it had to do. Like I said previously, it's an origin story, for crying out loud, so if you're expecting them to be in the suits right away and kicking tons of ass and all that fun stuff like you do in the original Mighty Morphin television series. You're not going to see that in this movie. The action, it doesn't happen until 2/3 of the way through. I loved the performances from every one of the cast of the movie. Bryan Cranston did a good job as Zordon in the beginning. Becky G and Naomi Scott, they did a perfect job as Kimberly and Trini. RJ, he did a great job as Billy. He did a very amazing job because in this version he has autism, believe it or not. And I watched an interview where his actor RJ said that he had to do a lot of research for that role, since Billy in this version is an autistic character. He has autism. So he wanted to make sure that he represented everybody that has autism correctly, and I think that he did a very good job at that. Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa, she did a very good job as Rita. For those of you out there who have not watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or the source material Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, which basically used all of the footage from that, the 16th entry in the Super Sentai series from that show, Rita Repulsa / Witch Bandora didn't really fight the Rangers all that much because it was constricted by Sentai footage. And throughout the rest of Season 2 and a lot of Season 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you didn't see Rita fight the Rangers a lot. Nearly at all, hardly. In this reboot, she fights the Rangers. She makes sure that she is a force to be reckoned with, and she does not fuck around. I'm not going to spoil anything about the movie, but there was a particular point in the movie where something bad happens to one of the main five. If you've already seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it pulls at your heartstrings, and it makes this version of Rita Repulsa a character that you absolutely want to hate. And you want to see her go down for what she did. Once again, bravo to Elizabeth Banks and her portrayal of Rita Repulsa in this reboot. Holy moly, man. The story did exactly what it set out to do. It's an origin story, so you kind of have to set everything up, and you have to do a lot of world building, as well as character development and all that good stuff, which didn't really happen in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because of time constraints. You couldn't really do what Dean Israelite, as well as the writers and the other staff that worked on this reboot, in the span of a 23-24 minute episode. That's just not possible. So That's something else that a lot of people out there need to take into account, is that if you've watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back into the 90s, when it premiered, the first 5 or 10 minutes was basically just Zordon teleporting them to the command center, Zordon explaining what's going on, they gotta fight Rita Repulsa, then Zordon gives them their powers, and then they go to the Zeo Ranger footage, go to the Sentai footage, and that's pretty much it. This movie did a whole lot that you wouldn't have been able to see in the television series of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in the day. Once again, because of time constraints, there's only so much that you can do in like a 23, 24-minute episode. So, there was definitely a lot of character development as well as world building. Of course, not gonna spoil anything about the plot except for the fact that the Zeo Crystal from Power Rangers Zeo is involved in the story. And that's about as much as I'm going to say about the story as far as story goes. The special effects were definitely amazing. They were definitely up there. New interpretation of Goldar, I'm kind of not that happy about. But it worked for the sake of the movie. And I understand that they were going for something completely new and original, because they wanted to stray as far away from the original 1995 movie as well as the television series. And they did a very damn good job of that, in my opinion. And that's one of the major issues that I have and really had during this whole thing, during this whole entire saga, was that a lot of people out there in the fandom expected it to be exactly like the 1995 movie, and that it was going to be a reboot of that for whatever phasing reason. Which it is clearly not, by the way. So, if you're going to go into this movie and expect it to be like the original movie from 1995, then you're sorely going to be disappointed, and you're doing absolutely nothing but setting yourself up for disappointment. Take off your nostalgia goggles, have an open mind, and give this movie a fair chance. I went and saw this movie with my brother and his fiancée, and my brother thought it was pretty good. This coming from somebody who's not a diehard Power Rangers fan, which is absolutely very surprising to me. I've been a Power Rangers fan since day one. I've watched up until Power Rangers Turbo, and I missed a lot of seasons. And I didn't come back until Dino Thunder, and I missed out on SPD. And I'm very glad that I missed out on Operation Overdrive. But that's besides the point. To basically bottom line it, I really liked the story. It definitely did what it set out to do, which is basically an origin story, which is something that Angry Joe and his buddies completely forgot to realize or didn't go into or whatever, so whatever, fuck those guys. We have this kind of joke in the RVT fandom that whenever Angry Joe shits on something, we go like, Angry Joe's angry about name a noun or name something. So the story had a really good balance. It knew when to be serious and when to be funny. And there was definitely times where it was pretty funny. There was a lot of times where the story during the movie was pretty damn serious. And there are times during the movie where shit gets real. If you've already seen the movie beforehand, you guys exactly know what I'm talking about. There was definitely some nods to the original series, as well as other Power Rangers seasons, like I previously mentioned. You had Zordon say, or not Zordon, you had Alpha 5 say I a couple times during the movie. You did have Zordon say it's morphin' time, which he did in the second episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The cast was very likable. I really enjoyed the new cast. They really did what they had set out to do, which was basically give these 5 teenagers what the original cast from Mighty Morphin actually needed, and that was teenagers with attitude. This new cast definitely brought attitude to their roles, like actual teenagers, and they were more grounded in this reboot than they were in the first season of Mighty Morphin, or all 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers combined, because you go back and you watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and take off the nostalgia goggles, I might add, and you realize how much of goody goods they really are. They're basically a lot of a group of yes people, in other words. That's the only other way I can describe it, because in the original TV series, they were always helping to clean up the environment. They were always doing these extracurricular activities. They were doing this and that and whatever, while still being Power Rangers. And in this reboot, there's absolutely none of that. They start off with a clean slate, and they're like actual teenagers in this day and age. Which is very refreshing, I might add, and works absolutely very well. So, there really wasn't a whole lot of bad stuff about the movie, really, except for the fact that they used the Go-Go Power Rangers theme from the 1995 movie when the Rangers finally get their Zords. why did they use the 1995 theme from the original movie? That is very puzzling. And it was only there for 8 seconds, by the way. And I know what a lot of you guys are going to be thinking. You're going to be thinking, why didn't Saban go to Ron Wasserman and ask him if they could use his theme from the Power Rangers Redux album, or use Ron Wasserman's original theme from the TV show? And the reason why that is because, well, to put it simply, Ron Wasserman and Saban aren't on the best of terms. If you looked at one of Ron Wasserman's interviews from the past few years and read that, you'll definitely understand why. That's also the reason why Ron Wasserman went ahead and wrote some of the other songs that are very popular in the Power Rangers fandom, like I Will Win, for example. But I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent here. All in all, the Power Rangers movie set out what it needed to do. It's an origin story, most importantly. I cannot express that enough. So, as I've said previously, if you're going to go see this movie and are expecting to see action right from the get-go, then you're not going to like it, rather. And also, if you go into it thinking, for whatever fucking reason, that it's going to be a reboot or a remake of the 1995 movie, then get the fuck out of here and take off your nostalgia goggles. That's the best way I can put it. Because when the writing staff and everybody else involved with the production of this movie, including the director Dean Israelite, they had their own vision of what they wanted this movie to be, of what they wanted this reboot to be. And they did that absolutely very well, I might add. And I hope that this movie ends up making enough money to warrant a sequel. That is also something else that I cannot express enough. Even though the reviews for this movie have been polarizing, one half of the movie-going audience will absolutely not like it. The other half will absolutely enjoy it and really like it for what it is, including a lot of Power Rangers fans like myself and some of the guys from RVT Entertainment, some of the fans from RVT Entertainment as well, I might add. One of them is going to see the movie a second time right now, by the way, as I'm recording this, so... So, if I had to go ahead and rate this movie, I would probably rate it 8.5 out of 10. There's some things that weren't really that great about the movie, like I previously mentioned. But those are just minor nitpicks at best. I also liked the the dynamic with the Rangers and Zordon at first, where Zordon kind of tries to push them too hard at first. Well, you know what I'm talking about if you've already seen the film. I'm trying my darndest to not spoil this movie, because it's definitely a film that you have to go out and see for yourself. Don't listen to the critics. Don't watch any reviews. Go to the theater and see the movie for yourself and form your own opinion. This is something that I feel has been lost because of the digital age that we live in now. Like, back then, like, you went to the theater, you see a movie, and you form your own opinion about it. Like, that has kind of disappeared thanks to the digital age, unfortunately. But anyhow, that is my review for the Power Rangers movie. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comment section down below. Did you guys like it as much as I did? Did you really enjoy it? Did you become a Power Rangers fan thanks to this movie? I know that there was one person on Twitter that said that the person that he went with absolutely hated Power Rangers, and after he saw this film, he was asking his buddy a whole lot of questions about Power Rangers, so yeah, that could happen. Would be great to have more fans to this fandom. Ones that are open-minded, level-headed, and are willing to discuss things maturely, I might add. And one more thing before I go. During the end credits, after the based on Power Rangers created by Haim Saban, they actually credit the Super Sentai series and Toei Company Limited. Yeah! I was blown away by that. So anyhow, until next time, this has been Die Hard Gamer, signing out.